think it's big oil that is fear and trembling that they know that their game is about to be over, and that they're putting pressure. I think on the don't you think this is true that they're putting pressure on all the governments around the world to keep disclosure from happening, and that's why they're sending airplanes up to fire at the ETs. They're trying to keep full disclosure from taking place because they know that once it's happening, then there's free energy, and except for oil and lubricating oils and chemicals, that we would need big oil.
You could be very well right about that. I actually am not disagreeing with you. Go back to 1960 when the world was a very different place. And back in 1960, the amount of oil consumption globally was much, much lower than it is today. And policymakers could say, hey, you know what? We don't really need to worry about free energy right now because we got all this petroleum. It's really easy. It's very easy to get out of the ground. Let's just wait. Okay, we're not in any particular situation where we have to worry. Now it's a little different. Now we got China, we've got India. Global demand for this product is doubling basically every 20 years, and so it's a little tight now, right? So it could very well be that big oil is the primary driver for secrecy. My suspicion is that big oil is one major group. They're probably not the only group. I think that there are significant financial interests in addition to oil that would be affected by this. But, yeah, I think your point's well taken.
Okay, time for maybe one or two more. Let's go to our wild card line. Harry in Texas. Go ahead, Harry. You're on with Rich Dolan.
Hello, Rich. Hello, George.
Hi.
I'd like to describe something that happened back in '78 to me, and I've never really talked to anybody about it except my wife. And I was always a skeptic, but when I saw this, I've just got the most strange mixed emotions about it. It's almost like it was a dream. What happened was, it's about 77 or 78. I had left my apartment, walking out of the courtyard, and I heard a whooshing sound, almost like an escaping gas overhead. When I looked up, I saw this enormous ring, circular ring, and it had a bluish and yellowish. At the time, I described it as looked like flames, but it wasn't flames. It was more like plasma. Now that I know that term, and it revolved around it, and it would become, thicker and protrude from the ring. More in some areas than others, but it made like a circular motion, and it revolved clockwise and counterclockwise. Well, my first impression was that it was just above the treetops. And when I saw this, my first thought was, I got to go knock on the door of the apartment closest to me and get somebody else to witness it. But then I got this overwhelming feeling of no, stand here and experience it. And believe it or not, I was thinking, I want to go. And those were my thoughts. And I stood there for about 3 or 4 minutes watching it. And I noticed when I looked up inside the ring, I could see the stars in the center through it. So that it appeared there was nothing there in the middle. It was just this plasma ring. And then I got a better judgment for how large it was, because then it started floating off towards a power plant that was about a half a mile from our apartment. It floated over to the power plant. It reached there pretty quick. But it didn't zip. It just kind of seemed like it was floating. Got over there quickly, came back to me after a few minutes, hovered over me again for a few more minutes, then went out towards the airport, which was about 6 miles away. Now, the reason I say it was much larger than my first impression is because when it to the airport, I continued to see it miles and miles away. It was still a very large ring, and it was, high enough in the sky that it was above the treetops because there's very large trees around me.
Richard, they're all over the place. We're out of time. It's the end of the program.
Wow.
Richard Dolan, thank you so much, my friend.
My pleasure. My pleasure. That last gentleman, by the way, 1978 was a huge year for UFOs. It's going into my next book, UFOs and National Security State Volume 2, so stay tuned for that.
KeyholePublishing.com. For Karis Coburn, Dan Galante, Tom Danheiser, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lonehood, Sean Ladesseur, Ross Mitchell, Ian Punnett, and Art Bell, I'm George Noory. Somewhere out there on Coast to Coast AM. We'll see you on our next edition. Until then, be safe, everyone.